Right then, let's head over to Ordsall, one of the most recognisable parts of modern day Salford, Salford Quays. Ordsall has always been one of those proper Salford districts with a huge amount of history behind it. Years ago this area was packed with pubs. Like most places across Britain, many of them have disappeared over the years, but they were once the heart and soul of the community. They weren't just somewhere to have a pint, they were where people met after work, celebrated birthdays, watched the football, caught up with neighbours and put the world to rights. They were a massive part of working class Salford life. Think of Salford today, Salford Quays is usually one of the first places that comes to mind. It's almost unrecognisable compared with what it used to be. The old docks have been transformed into one of the biggest regeneration projects in the country. Right next door you've got the beautiful Lowry Theatre, one of Salford's most famous landmarks. Attached to it is a shopping and leisure complex spread over several floors with cafes, restaurants, bars and shops overlooking the waterfront. On a sunny day, it's one of the nicest places to walk anywhere in Greater Manchester. The views across the Manchester Ship Canal are brilliant, and it's hard to believe you're standing in what was once one of the busiest docklands in Britain. I've actually got some great memories of the Quays myself. I used to have a girlfriend called Serena who worked there, and I'd meet her after she finished work most evenings. We'd walk around the waterfront, grab something to eat, or just sit watching the boats and people going by. Looking back now, they were some really good times, and every time I visit the Quays, those memories come flooding back. That's one of the great things about places. They're not just buildings and streets, they're part of your own story as well. The Quays have also hosted some huge sporting events over the years. The Invictus Games were held here, along with swimming, cycling, triathlon events and plenty of other major competitions. Throughout the year, there's always something happening, whether it's festivals, concerts, charity events or family days out. Just a few hundred metres further along, you reach Old Trafford. Although most people simply associate it with Manchester United, technically you're moving into Trafford and Stretford rather than Salford. Trafford Park is also nearby, one of the largest industrial estates in Europe, where companies like Kellogg's and countless other major businesses have been based for generations. It's amazing how quickly you move between the different boroughs, but everything still feels connected as one huge urban area. Now here's something I've always said. Although people from outside Greater Manchester sometimes get confused about where Salford ends and Manchester begins, Ordsall has always been proper Salford to me. We're the red side of the city. Traditionally, this has always been Manchester United territory, although these days you'll find supporters of all clubs as football has become much more global. The younger generations don't always have that same deep connection to local history that previous generations had, but the football heritage around here still runs deep. Like many parts of Salford, Ordsall has changed massively over the years. Today it's a very diverse community, with people from all over the world calling it home. But underneath all the modern apartments and redevelopment, there's still that old Salford character. You still meet people who were born and bred here, families who've lived here for generations, the sort of salt of the earth people that make Salford what it is. There are so many quiet, famous people from the area, including my good friend Shinny Davenport, a pretty famous influencer who was born and bred here like the rest of us, but changed his life around and become a beacon of hope for people in recovery and addiction. He now lives abroad, but does not forget his roots one bit. Salford people come second to none when it comes to representing and being passionate about where we are from. Never forgetting our roots, and you will find us all around the world, mostly positive and loud. Also home to a number of well-known social media personalities and influencers, including Agri Ginge from just up the road. The area has always produced interesting characters. It also has a tougher side to its history. Some of Salford's most notorious organised crime groups had their roots around Ordsall, including figures such as Paul Massey. Stories of gang rivalries, drug dealing, shootings, stabbings, kidnappings and organised crime became part of the area's reputation for many years. While those headlines often grabbed the attention, they never told the full story. The vast majority of people here were simply hard-working families trying to make a living and raise their children in difficult times. That's an important thing to remember whenever people talk about areas like Ordsall. Historically, Ordsall played an important role during the Industrial Revolution. The development of the docks and later the Manchester Ship Canal transformed both Manchester and Salford into global industrial powerhouses. Goods from all over the world pass through here, creating jobs for thousands of local people. It's one of the reasons Manchester and Salford grew into the huge urban area we now know as Greater Manchester. The history of the two cities has always been closely linked, but Salford has always maintained its own identity and its own pride. Before I finish this episode, I have to mention the churches. Salford has some absolutely stunning churches and historic places of worship. Sadly, some have fallen into disrepair or been left derelict over the years, but their architecture is incredible. They remind you just how important faith and community once were to everyday life here. If you're ever visiting the area, take some time to look around these old churches and cathedrals. They really are beautiful pieces of history that deserve to be appreciated. So that's Ordsall and Salford Quays, an area where old industrial Salford meets the modern world. From dock workers to television studios, from traditional pubs to waterfront cafes, from football history to media giants, it's a place that perfectly shows how Salford has evolved while never losing its identity. Join me next time as we continue our journey around the city, sharing more stories, history and memories from the places that have made Salford what it is today.